between some of the largest insurance giants in the country. And Aetna was peeved that the Justice Department had the audacity to say that they were, because hold on a minute, we're going to have to look this over, negotiate a degree, and find out whether or not this is something that's reasonable, and whether or not it violates antitrust law and so forth. So Aetna didn't like that. Hold on a minute, we're going to have to look this over, negotiate a degree, and we only have to find out whether or not this is something that's reasonable, and whether or not
Now, the top of the hour on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn presents the Green News Report.
A 5.6 magnitude earthquake struck just after 7 a.m. local time.
Major earthquake rattles Oklahoma, linked to fracking.
The bulldozers are still going, and they're yelling at the men in hard hats.
Violent confrontation erupts at Standing Rock Sioux Tribe's pipeline protest. Typhoons in Asia, now 50% stronger than in the 1970s. Plus,
today we are moving the world significantly closer to the goal that we have set.
President Obama has formally signed the U.S. to the landmark United Nations Paris Agreement.
All of those stories and more straight ahead from BradBlog.com. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
Stand by for 6 minutes of independent green news, politics, analysis, and snarky comment.
Temperatures last month shattered all previous records, including one record in Kuwait of 129.2 degrees Fahrenheit.
No, I know 129 degrees sounds like a lot, but it's a dry hell.
Yep. Welcome to hell. This is your Green News Report. Okay, Desi Doyen, we take a day or two off for the holidays, and really all hell seems to break loose all over the country, all over the world.
Yes, so a lot to catch up on. Here's a quick rundown on some of the things we missed. In the Atlantic, Hurricane Hermine killed 3 people over the Labor Day weekend in Florida and caused major storm surge along the eastern seaboard, made worse, scientists say, because of rising sea levels. Over in the Pacific, 2 rare hurricanes that were threatening Hawaii did not make official landfall, but caused storm surge and wind damage, and highlighted that Hawaii's new normal now includes being in the path of hurricanes thanks to warming ocean temperatures.
Because its old normal did not include hurricanes. They didn't used to hit Hawaii.
That's right. Hurricane Newton battered Mexico's Baja Peninsula after intensifying into a hurricane in less than 24 hours, with what Weather Underground called, quote, frightening speed. Meanwhile, a new study concludes that typhoons in the Pacific Ocean near Asia are about 50% stronger than in the 1970s. The study in the journal Nature Geosciences did not find that typhoons were more frequent, but that they were more intense, with more storms reaching Category 4 and 5 level. The researchers blame warmer Pacific Ocean temperatures for providing more fuel to storms, but didn't identify whether that was due to man-made climate change due to a lack of long-term data. In North Dakota, a federal judge on Tuesday partially approved an emergency request by the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe to halt construction on some, but not all, of a disputed section of the $4 billion Dakota Access Pipeline near their reservation. Over the holiday weekend, the pipeline company's private security personnel used dogs to attack Native American protesters who, in turn, were trying to stop bulldozers from tearing up what the tribe said are sacred burial sites. That judge is set to rule very soon on the tribe's broader request for an injunction to halt the pipeline's construction. In Oklahoma, Governor Mary Fallin ordered the shutdown of about 40 fracking wastewater injection wells after an earthquake measuring 5.6 hit the heart of fracking country on Saturday.
5.6.
Yes, that's a record.
Yeah, not one of these little tremors that they've been having. This was a big one.
Yeah, it was felt across 6 Midwestern states and seriously damaged numerous homes and businesses in Pawnee County and on the Pawnee Indian Reservation, where 6 structures were deemed uninhabitable.
Uninhabitable.
Yeah.
We are now destroying entire homes.
Yeah. The disposal of toxic fracking wastewater into deep underground wells has been linked to Oklahoma's new status as the earthquake capital of the United States.
This needs to be underscored. We are causing earthquakes. And a lot of people seem to be just fine with that.
At the G20 summit in China over the Labor Day weekend, President Obama formally entered the United States into the historic Paris Agreement, joining the president of China, who also formally signed on to the accord in which all nations agree to cut greenhouse gas emissions that cause dangerous man-made climate change.
We have a saying in America that you need to put your money where your mouth is. And when it comes to combating climate change, that's what we're doing, both the United States and China. We're leading by example. As the world's 2 largest economies and 2 largest emitters, our entrance into this agreement continues the momentum of Paris and should give the rest of the world confidence, whether developed or developing countries, that a low-carbon future is where the world is heading.
Together, the U.S. and China, the top 2 emitters in the world, account for about 40% of global emissions. The agreement comes into force when 55 countries representing 55% of global emissions sign on.
And remember how Republicans told us for years that China would never, ever, ever agree to cut emissions?
Oh, yeah.
China, India, all these countries that are still growing, and they're not going to stop doing what they're doing.
A climate policy that does not include massive energy consumers like China and India is essentially meaningless.
I don't think we can control the emissions from China and India.
We have statements from the leaders in China saying under no circumstances are they going to accept any kind of mandatory reduction.
They sure are wrong a lot. For much more on all of these stories and the ones we couldn't get to today, please check out our website at greennews.bradblog.com. Don't forget you can download our reports anytime via Stitcher, TuneIn, or iTunes. Find us and follow us on the Facebooks and the Twitters at Green News Report. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
And this has been your Green News Report.
This has been the Green News Report on the top of the hour on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
It's Friday, you bastards.
You know, girls, it's great to live in a democracy today.
Yeah.
Where freedom is everywhere.
Yeah.
But girls, we often take this freedom for granted.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Freedom of thought.
Yeah.
And freedom of action.
Yeah.
But you know, gals,
what?
Just because a bunch of men signed that Declaration of Independence in 1776 doesn't mean that freedom was for men alone.
No.
Oh, no, you take Tom Jefferson.
Okay.
Ben Franklin.
You know.
John Hancock.
Pass.
There's a hell of a guy for you right there. All these men had wives.
They did.
They probably had a few broads on the side, too.
The right side.
These women wanted freedom just as much as their men did.
Yes.
But, gals, I wonder, do we? I think it's time that we women thought about it a bit.
Okay.
Hell, I think it's time we did something about it.
Hell.
So come on, fellow females of the 20th century.
21st.
Be glad that you're an American.
I'm glad.
Proclaim your freedom.
Freedom.
And attention.
Oh.
Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance.
And
8 segments to beer. All right. Woo. 8 segments. Are you allowed to talk about beer while they're doing the Value Voters Summit? The Value Vote. ISIS is committing genocide against Christians. That's Donald Trump's little spiel. There are no more decent people in the world than Christians. Everybody else can pretty much go to hell. And Louis Gohmert, Louis. Do you know Louis Gohmert, the Texas weirdo, the super zealot? I mean, if we're afraid of a religious law being imposed upon the United States, and you are partisan, you think I just described Sharia? But no, I'm describing Louis Gohmert's brand of Christianity, where this nation chucks the Constitution and becomes biblical. That's Louis Gohmert. Louis Gohmert has had some ideas about funding from Congress going to fund certain experiments, like putting gay people on an island to see if nature favors them. No, I'm serious. Oh, no, you think I'm not. Oh, no.
You know what?
No, what, Louis?
So if you believe there's a God, you believe Moses knew something about that God, you think Jesus knew something about that God, he was
Moses out
God,
of it.
he was one, the three are one, then you got to understand there is something to this foundational thing called marriage. And I took some grief recently. I was being interviewed or C-SPAN in their private interview early, and she was asking me questions, and it always lights up our phone when I talk about the Bible or anything about things Christians believe. And I said, well, let's just take a totally secular approach to this. Congress is good about having studies. How about if we take 4 heterosexual couples and put them on an island where they have everything they need to live and exist, and we take 4 couples of just men, put them on an island where they have all they need to survive, and then let's take 4 couples of just women and put them on an island, and then let's come back in 100 years and see, which one nature favors.
Now, this is a man who, when he chants USA spells it wrong, okay? But we should listen to him about funding gay desert island experiments so we can prove once and for all that Phyllis Schlafly was right. Okay. And also, this is a very Christian aspect of the fundamentalist Christian belief system. They believe, that all life was created by God except the ones we want to kill. Right?
You know what?
What?
We need to encourage this administration to go take out Iran's nuclear capability. Obviously, for Iran to continue spinning centrifuges for over a year and not even slow down those centrifuges for the purpose of discussion, and then when you find out that actually going from 5% to 90% enrichment only takes a small room and maybe a dump truck load full of the proper 5% enriched uranium, and voila, you can start having bombs. This is serious stuff, and I don't think that we ought to put Israel in the position of having to save both themselves and the United States. I think it's time to bomb Iran. Anything that resembles a nuclear facility that was with centrifuges, it's time to bomb.
And it turns out that Louis Gohmert, who, when he chants USA, spells it wrong, was wrong on that too. Looks like $1.5 billion is what Iran needed to stop the centrifuges, thereby saving us $6 trillion in another war in the Middle East. Well, I guess he was incorrect about bombing Iran, as was John McCain and every other conservative asshole who came down the pike, in the last few years. But the reason why I bring up Louis Gohmert and the Values Voter Summit is underway right now. How evangelicals can vote for Donald Trump, who is one of the most corrupt people in the history of anybody who ever ran for president, including Richard Nixon, whose crimes pale in comparison. But this is what Louis Gohmert had to offer today at the Value Voters Summit.
A true believer does what Jesus did and still does, but, you don't make fun of people who are impaired, have special needs.
Oh, that's nice.
And whether you like her or not, Hillary Clinton has made clear she is mentally impaired.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
This is not somebody you should be making fun of. Now, so I get the impression that in law school and along the way she's been very, very smart. But I don't know, maybe it was the concussion, the fall back when she did. Or maybe, who knows? You know, they won't tell us what really is going on with her. But
they won't tell us.
If I were going to smash cell phones, Blackberries, I'd use a 2-pound sledge. I think that's the most... Well, who knows? Maybe somebody got to wailing around and hit her again. I don't know. But,
oh, my God.
But we need to be praying for Hillary Clinton.
Why does Donald Trump appeal to voters? One word: fear.
Seriously.
I want to go back to the island.
So, in less than 3 minutes, we have shown you that Louis Gohmert's, solutions as a congressman, a real one from Tejas, is to put gay people on an island and fund it for 100 years. So you could see if nature favors them, to bomb Iran, just bomb them. And to pray for Hillary Clinton because she's mentally impaired. I mean, Louis Gohmert calling anybody mentally impaired. It's the irony of Donald Trump calling Hillary corrupt and crooked. Donald Trump is the most crooked person that's ever come down the pike from the time he was in second grade and he punched out his music teacher all the way to now. Do you know what I mean? Bankrupting his own casinos so he could draw the money out and just kill the entire city of it, like causing more economic damage to New Jersey than Hurricane Sandy did. I mean, these people calling Hillary... Oh, and I don't know why he used the kind word of mentally impaired and inferred that she has special needs. I guess because Ann Coulter has cornered the word retard, which was a word that's, I guess she copyrighted it. It's a word that's out of use. I guess you could get a copyright on it because people hate that word. We don't use that word. And apparently, unless you're Ann Coulter, that word's not in your lexicon. But these are the values voters. These are the Jesus-y ones. I don't think Jesus would approve of any of this. I just don't see it. I don't get it. However, I guess this is how, American Muslims and Muslims in Indonesia and all over the world who don't, take up arms and aren't jihadists. I guess this is how they feel about these militant groups and these, barbaric groups that do this heinous stuff in the name of their sacred texts. I mean, for me, it takes your breath away. It literally takes your breath away. Now, if you can understand it from that point of view, then you understand the world as far as the East and the West and the religious battles that are going on. Because this is ridiculous. This is craziness. This is pure mean girl stuff. Do you know? I mean, of all people, Louis Gohmert. What's he going to say next? That Hillary Clinton is bald? No, you're bald. You're mentally impaired. You want religious law. You're the one that wants to impose your religious take on the Bible all over this country. Prohibit anybody from making any decision that you, based on your understanding of a book so complex that people can discuss it from now until eternity and still have questions. You want to impose the law that way. I mean, these people, it's so sad. It's so sad. And now Donald Trump is standing there and he's addressing these same, people who are willing to impose a religious law on everyone within the United States. So much so that we can't fight Zika in pregnant women in Florida unless you fly the Confederate flag at Arlington National Cemetery and you ban, Planned Parenthood from even, tending to the women who might be pregnant with babies while they were bitten by a mosquito carrying Zika. I mean, the whole thing is so confusing. You know why? Because it's senseless. That's why. This is all about not Alabama or Texas. They got this.
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
I am so excited to announce that ITM Trading is back to sponsor our new show. ITM Trading is a precious metals company that was a very loyal sponsor of mine for years and years, and our reunion couldn't have happened at a better time. 2016's been great for me and for gold. Did you know that gold outperformed the Dow this year by over 3 times? Since January, the Dow Jones is up 8% and gold is up over 26%. Some of the wealthiest and most powerful people in the country are diversifying huge sums of money into gold because they know diversification is the key. And maybe it's time for you to get diversified too. It's time to talk to my friends at ITM Trading about gold and how it can help you. Call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD. They've been in business for over 20 years. They have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. And if you'd like to know how to diversify with gold, call ITM Trading at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and ask for a free gold kit. 1-888-OWN-GOLD. 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1919. That was the day that the Boston police went out on strike. The police in Boston had not had a raise for over 6 years. They worked long shifts, sometimes even more than 80 hours a week. The police force was predominantly Irish. Many had served as U.S. soldiers in World War I. Fed up with their working conditions, the police formed a union and joined the American Federation of Labor. Boston's police commissioner, Edwin U. Curtis, refused to recognize the police union and fired 19 police officers for their organizing efforts. In response, the new union voted overwhelmingly to support a walkout. More than 1,100 police officers voted to strike, with only 2 voting no. Across the country, newspapers made dire predictions about the collapse of law and order in Boston. While there was an upsurge in crime due to the lack of police on the streets, the press wildly exaggerated what was happening in the city. Newspapers ran stories about gangs running wild with rioters and communists attacking women, fueling Red Scare fears. The entire labor movement came under attack. Massachusetts Governor Calvin Coolidge declared, quote, "There is no right to strike against public safety by anyone, anywhere, anytime." This hard line against the striking police helped propel him to the national stage and eventually to the Oval Office. The striking policemen were fired and replaced with unemployed World War I veterans. In response to the national outcry over the strike, the American Federation of Labor revoked the charter for other police unions. The Boston police strike is the subject of the page-turner The Given Day by author Dennis Lehane. A fictionized account of the events surrounding the strike, the novel follows the experiences of one Irish policeman during this tumultuous time.
The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
Yes, do it now. Do it now. Do everything now. Oh, he's still talking. I can't. Why are the polls tightening? I mean, honest to God, the Trump's history of corruption is mind-boggling. How is it possible that Hillary Clinton is still being grilled about emails, whether or not they had a little C on them? It's indicate confidential when Donald Trump's little C stood for colored. How are we still having a debate? I mean, it's amazing. The amount of reportage that goes on about the emails, the damn emails. It's been going on since back when Bernie was still viable. It's a long time ago. I weep for those times. I miss those times. Call me, Bernie. Call me. But honest to God, man, I can't take it anymore. I look at the polls and they're tightening. The polls are tightening. Tightening. People think this country is on the wrong track, so they've come up with the idea that they should then run it into the ditch. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. And birtherism is back. Oh, birtherism. Oh, I think it's finally over. Oh, thank God. Yeah, birtherism is back because last night, the man who has the biggest crush on Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, his secret girlfriend, was on with Chris Matthews, who, by the way, should moderate every single debate. Just everyone. Every single debate. Period. Because he just has a very low barometer for bullshit. He's like me. It doesn't matter what side you're on. If you say something that isn't true, you get hammered here. You get hammered here. You get hammered by him too. And he's got a big brain, and he can hold all these facts. Oh, speaking of holding facts, do you know what the new contretemps is on the Trump side of things? That Hillary was wearing earbuds during the Commander-in-Chief forum. Which still sounds like a condom to me. And it was. It was a prophylactic for Donald Trump. It totally protected Donald Trump from exposure to any charges of his own corruption, of his own bad behavior, of his own, refusal to pay contractors to use illegal immigrants on projects that he built, the Trump Tower, illegal Polish immigrants who he paid sometimes in like government cheese. I'm not kidding. So that was a prophylactic. It was the Forum brand. Ask for the Commander-in-Chief by name. But, so hardball last night. Rudy Giuliani is Donald Trump's secret girlfriend. You know that. And it's just, it's crazy. But this stupid birtherism is back. And a rumor that Hillary Clinton wore earbuds at the Commander-in-Chief forum is also making its way. Howard watches, whenever I walk into a room, the TV mysteriously has turned to the Foxy News Network. You can't blame the guy for wanting to look at, various legs in, Louboutins. Because I don't even have shoes on. I'm a barefoot girl. No, I don't braid my armpits, you white supremacists. But there's this new rumor, and this is how it got started. This is such a bizarre story. James Woods, the actor. Right, everybody went, oh, yeah, James Woods. It's sort of a Gary Busey situation. James Woods, the actor, went to InfoWars. Alex Jones. Now, Alex Jones has seen a conspiracy in a pickle jar. Alex Jones was trying to deny that he was a conspiracy theorist who said that Sandy Hook was child actors when Hillary, called him out on it. And in defending himself, he just dug himself a deeper ditch. It was sad. It was really sad.
They said in October I'd be dead in 6 months.
They're still saying it.
It's also what happens when you listen to the radio host, Alex Jones, who claims that 9/11 and the Oklahoma City bombings were inside jobs. He even said, and this really just is so disgusting, he even said the victims of the Sandy Hook massacre were child actors and no one was actually killed there. I don't know what happens in somebody's mind or how dark their heart must be to say things like that. But Trump doesn't challenge these lies. He actually went on Jones's show and said, "Your reputation is amazing. I will not let you down."
And so Alex Jones tried to defend himself from Hillary's claims that Orlando was, the Orlando was a false flag and that the children in Sandy Hook were child actors and that Oklahoma City was an inside job.
The attacks in Orlando were a false flag terror attack. But before the mainstream media takes that out of context, I want to be clear. Our government and the governments of Europe allowed these huge hordes of radical jihadis in and have even allowed them in without vetting them on record, landing at airports across the country and not even checking their passports, IDs, or visas.
Okay, you get the idea. All right, everything's a false flag. Everything's a false flag. And then, in fact, Alex Jones recreated Hillary's pickle jar moment on Jimmy Fallon.
There's no pop when she opens it, and she acts like she has to turn it all the way around, like she's opening a can of peanut butter. But anyone who's opened a sealed can of pickled vegetables, whether it be tomatoes, whether it be garlic, whether it be olives, whether it be pickled fruit, knows there is a pop. You don't turn around it. You can't open.
Okay, all right. So the pickle jar became a false flag, became a conspiracy theory on the Alex Jones show, who, by the way, interviews Roger Stone from the Trump campaign like every freaking day, who says they say the most bizarre crap on that show. I mean, it's for the mentally, it's for the flocka smokers, it's for the face eaters, it's for the Walking Dead, it's for the meth freaks, it's for the craziest among the crazy in our society. That they listen to that, and the numbers of people. It's freaking me. It's always freaked me out. I mean, when it started, it wasn't that bad. Now everybody flocks to that to hear the most dank, dark bull crap about our own country, our own government, our own leaders, preferring leaders like Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un, because at least they're honest. Really? Putin is honest. This is. But anyways, this is how this earbud thing got started. James Woods, the actor, went on to Alex Jones' show, and he said that he believed that Hillary was wearing ear pearls. He was wearing earbuds. Okay, I guess it was the new i7, the iPhone 7, the wireless, the first computer for your ear. Everybody, the first computer for your ear. Ooh,
tremendous!
So excited! Can't wait. Didn't it used to be like when you put a hearing device in your ear, it made you look old? Now it makes you look like a millennial. That's good news for Loretta. But anyway, so James Woods went on Alex Jones, and then that made it to Drudge. Now, this is the point. I saw it when Howard was looking at Drudge while watching Fox News. If I'm lying, he's laughing because I'm not lying. That is what he does. He sits in that chair, that leather chair, and he watches Fox News with his iPad in his lap, and he reads all the Drudge stories. Reads them all and goes, "Hey, did you hear this? Hillary's wearing earbuds." She's wearing earbuds. Where did you hear that? It's on Drudge. Well, how did that get to Drudge? It came from Alex Jones. Are you kidding me? Okay, so it made it to Drudge. Then he sees it like 2 minutes later on Sean Hannity, who's now repeating it on Fox News. Oh, to be me in my house. It's like, I mean, how I stay sane, I just cook is what I do. When I drunk tweet, I take photos of the food that I make and I tweet it. That's what I do for fun. But I swear to God, this whole James Woods to Alex Jones to Drudge to Sean to Fox News, it's like looking at an outline of how you process raw sewage. This is news. This is what news has become. I mean, now, from the answers that Trump gave, I can safely say, I think, that he did not have earbuds. That nobody was telling him, oh, wait. It could have been Putin in his earbud. Could have been Putin. Or Gary Johnson. He could have been sitting backstage with a bong and a bag of Doritos telling Donald Trump, make mad, passionate love to Putin. Hump his leg. Get on him. Oh, my God. This is just, I don't know. This is just so, I mean, what were they saying? And is it take the oil, secret plan to end the war. Now, this is very Richard Nixon, isn't it? The secret plan to end the war in Vietnam. And it turned out, you know what Richard Nixon's secret plan to end the war in Vietnam was? He didn't have one. Shocked, I tell you. That war went on and on. Richard Nixon ran the same way Donald Trump did. On the same darkness, on the same heart of darkness, but I have a secret plan. I'll end the war in Vietnam. And of course, that war went on all through the Nixon administration. So I guess what we have to do is tell Gary Johnson, who's probably talking in his earbud, to tell him to say, or if it's Putin, we can just say Putin is hot, and then we'll know. Just say Putin's hot. Say I'm hot. Say I look good without a shirt. Say I do. It's like a bad movie. This whole thing is like the worst movie ever. You know what it's like? It's like Rudy Giuliani has a big crush on Donald Trump, but Donald Trump secretly pines for Vladimir Putin. Meanwhile, Chris Christie, the fat one, really is crazy in love with Donald Trump as well, but Donald Trump doesn't give him the time of day. And so Christie goes off and gets a lap band and loses all this weight and then comes back as the hot chick. Only to find out that Donald Trump wasn't worth it because he was always a mean girl. This is what's going on. And this is our presidential election. This is it. This is what we freaking got. 60 days we got here to decide between a non-fascist and a crazy son of a bitch. I mean, a nutbag. All right, so the birtherism is back. This is what started me down this road, just to close the circle for you. Chris Matthews, who, like I said, should moderate all these debates, all of them, because the media is broken. The news has been canceled. But Chris Matthews still got it. I mean, he's 70 years old, too, and Chris Matthews has been around for a lot of stuff, and I just think he's the best pick. He's the best one. He's feisty. He doesn't like BS. He doesn't let you get away with jack crap. So here was Rudy, the girl who loves the Trump secretly, while Chris Christie is off losing weight.
Mike Pence, the governor of Indiana, and of course, Dr. Ben Carson, both come out in the last days, hours practically, and said they believe that President Obama is a legitimately elected president of the United States. In other words, he was born in the United States. Do you confirm that? Do you agree with that?
I confirm that, and Donald Trump now confirms that. You know, Hillary Clinton
When did he do
campaign,
that? When did he do that?
He did that.
When did he do that?
2 years ago. 2 years ago. Donald Trump believes now that he was born in the United States. But that issue was raised originally. That issue was raised originally.
When is he going to say that this president is legitimate? This is a fundamental question, Mr. Mayor. Is the president of the United States legitimate or not? Do you believe it? If you believe it, why doesn't your candidate state it?
I believe it. He believes it. We all believe it. But it took a long time to get it out.
Everybody. Okay, and this was Rudy Giuliani a week ago on a Sunday show on CNN.
It was resolved in 2011 when he released his birth certificate. Donald Trump talking about this as recently as February of last year at CPAC, saying that he thinks the birth certificate is false. Should he just apologize for this? He really wants to reach out to minority voters.
You know, if everybody apologized for all the things they said in politics, all we'd be doing on television shows is apologizing. Maybe a lot of the Democrats should apologize for calling Donald Trump a racist and calling him all kinds of terrible names.
How could you apologize for calling him a racist if he's the birther in chief who questioned Barack Obama's country of birth because he wanted to say that the first African-American president was born in Africa and therefore not eligible to serve, and that he was pulling this big scam on the entire United States of America? I mean, honest to God, I don't know how you cannot call Donald Trump a racist when he was a birther and is a birther and won't apologize for being a birther and doesn't admit to this day that the president of the United States was born in Hawaii. He absolutely will not say that. And so now you've got his spokespeople out there saying, we don't talk. And Donald Trump said it too. Oh, I don't talk about it much. Well, that's hardly saying that the issue is resolved. I mean, he told everyone, oh, I got people down in Hawaii, and you won't believe what they're finding. You won't believe it. And we're still waiting. What did the detectives find, Donald? What did they find? And didn't Donald Trump say that he would donate $5 million to any charity that Barack Obama chose if he released his birth certificate? Well, Obama gave a press conference where he laughed his way through it and said, this is just bizarre. But I got to tell you, here we were. This was back in 2011, and Obama was trying to pass his budget. And he was trying to do a big infrastructure package to get people back to work and speed up the recovery because the stimulus worked. And saving the car companies worked. So we went back for a second round, but we had lost the Congress by then. And so there was Obama trying to talk to the media, holding press conferences, telling anybody who would, about his budget, and they would never break for, they wouldn't interrupt any programming for, the president to discuss his budget. Anyway, his budget failed. We got the sequester, which just randomly made cuts all across the government, okay, and corroded our growth. Literally, that sequester has kept us at 2.5 or 2% growth instead of 3% or 3.5. 4% is normal. 4% is a good recovery. But they did that on purpose. But anyway, so this, it just blows your mind that the reason why the president of the United States gave a press conference was because Donald Trump was demanding his birth certificate, and the entire media, just like now, the entire media was covering Donald Trump. This is 2011. And so Obama went on TV and had a special press conference at the White House and said, you people will not cover my budget. You won't cover any news at all from the White House unless I come out and talk about my birth certificate. So I'm going to come out and talk about my birth certificate. Guess what? I released it. Enjoy. He said, I normally wouldn't do this, but I'm trying to get my budget passed. And if I don't get you to stop talking about me being born in Kenya, no one's ever going to know that this budget has an enormous potential to grow the economy and get us. Well, we were already in recovery, but get us growing fast. Oh, it's just, it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. And so, that still didn't stop. Donald Trump kept on going on TV. He went on The View, and he went on CNN, and he called into shows, and and he kept saying, "I got people down in Hawaii. You won't believe." And this birth certificate, it's not the long form. I want the long form. And now I also want his college transcripts, and not because I want to see what his grades were. No, I want to see where he put place of birth. Place of birth. That's what I want to see. He wasn't born here. Believe me. And then came the correspondence dinner.
To speak to Randy, call now, you bastards. 561-270-3844.
Hello.
The Randi Rhodes Air Force.
You're listening to WIN, Workers Independent News, a production of Diversified Media Enterprises. I'm Doug Cunningham. Thousands of United Mine Workers of America members and their supporters rallied on Capitol Hill Thursday, urging Congress to pass bills protecting pensions and health care for retired miners and widows. 100 miners, including UMWA President Cecil Roberts, were arrested as they sat down together in the street near the U.S. Capitol. Roberts said miners, many of them sick retirees, deserve what they've earned, a promise kept on pensions and health care.
We lose $500 a month, and this union president won't stand idly by as these people lose the benefits that they gave their lives for. They earned these benefits, and we'll fight, and we'll fight, and we'll fight until there's nothing left.
You're blocking a roadway illegally. If you do not step out of the roadway, you will be placed under arrest.
Ain't nobody going over there.
It's time to stand with this union. It ain't about one or two. There are thousands gathered here today. Take a good look around you. We ain't asking for a handout. We won't ask for nothing more than what your lifetime of labor and your sweat and blood paid for.
AFL-CIO President Rich Trumka used to be president of the United Mine Workers of America, and he says Hillary Clinton's detailed plan to revitalize coal communities proves that she will have coal miners' backs. Trumka says Clinton has a $30 billion plan to get coal communities back on their feet. Trumka says Clinton also supports the Miners Protection Act. Trumka says coal miners and their families have sacrificed much for America, and we have an obligation to support them and their families. Trumka says all Trump has to offer is lip service, that he's with the miners, but nothing to show beyond the bluster. Across America, September 10th, local labor movements will lead their largest day of action this election cycle. Thousands of union members, volunteers, and staff will mobilize for the Labor 2016 campaign. The AFL-CIO says it's working together to elect candidates who stand with working men and women. In nearly 100 events, including canvasses and phone banks in 11 states, there will be actions directed at the election. In addition to the events, there will be simultaneous worksite visits, direct mail, and voter protection efforts.
Brought to you by the California Teachers Association. 325,000 educators who know quality public schools make a better California for all of us. Information on how California teachers are shaping a stronger future for our kids is online at cta.org.
You've been listening to WIN, Workers Independent News. For more information, visit laborradio.org.
The Randi Rhodes Show is brought to you by our partners at ITM Trading. Call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and ask for a free gold kit. 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
All things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Birtherism. Can you believe that? This was the most racist, and Donald Trump was all over the media explaining to people that the reason why he went down this road is because people loved it. People loved it. This was 2011 when Donald Trump was testing the waters, sticking his toe in to see if America had gone crazy enough, was drug-addled enough, was drunk enough, was stoned enough to pick Donald Trump in a contest against a woman who knows more about governing and the foreign policy and the world at large than Donald Trump could ever have whispered into an earbud ever, even if Vlad was doing the whispering. Okay, it's an amazing thing. And to look at this election and take anybody on the right, seriously, anybody, because unless they've denounced Donald Trump, whatever comes out of their mouth after this, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to know from you. I don't want to hear your ideas. I don't want to hear about gay islands. I don't want to hear about we're a Christian nation. I don't want to hear about Moses and God. I don't want to hear about earbuds. I don't want to hear about, honest, I don't want to hear anything that these people ever say about solving any of our problems ever again. Just sit down and shut up. And then, wait until this election is over and we have a Democratic Senate, hopefully more people in the House, and the Republicans are shamed like the Amish do it. Amy in Nutley, New Jersey.
Oh, hey, Randy. You caught me by surprise.
Surprise! It's me. You called my show. Surprise!
I know. I called you. I would just want to make a quick comment about the stupid things people are saying about the smashing of BlackBerries. I'm sorry, but how else would you dispose of a BlackBerry with emails on it? That's probably the most responsible thing that she's done with her emails is to smash the old BlackBerries. That's what we do in a big corporation. We smash our devices, we destroy them before we dispose of them.
Do you?
It's common sense.
Do you take the batteries out?
I think actually all the parts are recycled.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say.
With a computer, for example.
Well, that's what we did.
The operating system.
Well, what we did here. We had some computers that we were trying to recycle, and because we were trying to save money, and so we were using some of the old stuff. And when we tried to, get them to boot up, whatever, they were just, there was no way. Some of them, yeah. And so we recycled them. We didn't smash anything. We just recycled everything.
It is okay to recycle things, but you never know if there's banking information on there. You want to make sure that everything's wiped out, and even if everything is wiped out, it's never completely wiped out. They use the bleaching program But as you
Which,
can
by
see,
the way,
the FBI was able to recover stuff after all.
Oh, yeah, because BleachBit is free. It's a free little online thing that you can, you can use to free up some hard drive space. Is what it is. You delete like a, ton. Like if I delete more than 200 emails, because I delete so many every day that if I do that, sometimes it white screens my computer because it's too much work for it to delete all those. So you can BleachBit it, and then it just empties your folder so that you can have more 200 emails going. How do I get the podcast?
Buy the stinking podcast.
Buy the stinking podcast. How do I get it? It's like I have to send them the link, the actual link, and then they'll go, okay. Then the same people will write back. They'll go,
I just go directly to your website and I stream it right off of your website.
I know, but then some of them buy it and they get a temporary password and they go, I can't reset my password. Could you do that for me? Like, all of a sudden, I'm customer service for.
So you're IT support now.
Yeah, I'm IT support. Yeah, me and Billy, we manually reset everybody's password. But no, I've always recycled, and one of the things I do is I take the hard drive out. I mean, I still have old hard drives from like 2003, but they're in my office. I mean, I didn't do anything with. I still have them, so I don't know if that's right. Jow, what's your name?
Hello.
What's your name?
Jay.
Jay, you came up Jow.
No, it's Jay. J-A-Y.
Well, that's very easy.
Okay, let me lay it out like this: who Trump is and his followers. Trump is the guy that his wife walks in on him having sex. They get up, getting dressed, and the wife is yelling, "You're having sex! You're what? I caught you, blah blah." And he convinces her, "No, we're not. We're not. We're just talking, blah blah blah," and she believes him. That's Trump and his followers.
That was that was my first sexual experience. That's exactly what happened to me.
Trump convinced you weren't having sex, or you're the wife?
No, I was actually. Hi, Michael. I was with my first boyfriend, Michael. We were in my house. My mother went out on a date. We thought we had the house to ourselves, and we had been going out for a long time. But I was pretty young. But I had woke up one morning, and all of a sudden, I looked down at my flat chest, and it was like, oh. Wow, I guess I'm a woman now. And Michael said, yeah, it's time. So we thought we had the house to ourselves. And Michael climbed on top. We were stark raving nude. And my mother had a bad time on the day, came home early, flung open my bedroom door and said, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And Michael said, go talk to her and tell her we weren't doing anything.
Right. So he convinces his followers of everything. Now, let me lay out who his friends are. Mark Foley, an ex-representative of the United States, is a pedophile. Mm-hmm. I've seen some text from a young man that he was texting, and yet Trump says, if you remember the rally in Florida, he said, all the people behind me, I know. So he knows a pedophile, and he's a friend. He also has Roger Ailes, a sexual harasser, who Fox just paid off one of the ladies $20 million for sexual harassing by Roger Ailes and several others for lesser amounts. Now his best buddy happens to be Putin, who is a murderous dictator, and he has everybody believing that he's not. I mean, he goes, oh, no, we don't have facts on that. None of this. It's not true. But yet he blames Hillary for everything, that there is no solid information of anything that she's done other than, like Alex Jones, propaganda.
Earbuds.
Pickle
jars.
Conspiracy theories, so on and so forth.
Child actors.
Huh?
Child actors, pickle jars,
exactly, yeah.
False flags, Oklahoma City was an inside job. Yeah, all this stuff. But you know who you left out? You left out Steve Bannon, who also has...
I was going to say that. Yeah, you're right.
He has a police report of spousal abuse.
Right.
You forgot Trump himself. Ivana accused him of raping her in the divorce.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you know about the November court case of Trump and the 13-year-old rape?
Yes.
Okay, how come nobody's saying anything about that?
Well, because there's nothing to say yet. There's just
hold on. Don't they say that Hillary's murdered people? There's nothing there?
Well, we have a higher standard than Alex Jones, and I think most people do. So, But don't forget, Kellyanne Conway said women would never be raped in the military if we were only stronger, if we were just more physically fit. Rape wouldn't exist. Okay.
Oh yeah, and then Trump's attorney Cohen, whatever, said you can't rape your wife.
You can't rape your wife, right? So he's surrounded by a bunch of misogynist freaks. Even the women are self-loathing.
And then when Trump first started to come out, what was his first statement about 9/11? Thousands upon thousands of Muslims were cheering in New Jersey. Well, it's kind of funny. I'm an IT guy and computer guy. I have not seen one video of thousands and thousands of Muslims cheering in New Jersey. And he said he saw people from his Trump Tower, from his window, which is 4 miles away, seeing people jump out of the buildings. Let me ask you a question. You got a jet in the sky, 30,000 feet. How the heck are you going to see a little minute anything falling from that far? You can't see anything. So he lied about that.
He lies about everything. That's what is so hard. Even the media is now starting to say, because Matt Lauer got the crap kicked out of him yesterday, and even I felt bad. It was so viral.
He didn't pin Trump
Whatever. Listen, you have no idea what it's like when the entire media comes down on you. It's really, really difficult not to kill yourself. Okay.
Let me ask you a question. If I'm interviewing you and I say, do you have blonde hair? Your answer is yes. You don't go off on a dissertation for 5 minutes talking about doing an oil change on your car or going shopping. Matt Lauer had an opportunity to pin him down. You said you were smarter than the generals. How are you smarter than the generals? And what did he do? He went off on a rant. And then he's talking about Obama and the generals underneath him, saying that they're down to rubble. Do you know why? Because they're not backing him. He likes the generals that are backing him, but he doesn't like the ones that are not backing him.
Here's what the media has said, and I've been listening to some of the reporters that cover him, because it's an amazingly difficult job. It's like being the only public defender in New York City. Do you know what I mean? It's a hard job. And they're all saying he lies at the speed of sound. And there's no way to actually stop him, because he'll talk over you. You'll end up talking at the same time. You won't hear anything anybody is saying. So you kind of just have to.
What are they going to do at the debates?
Well,
how are they going to handle the debates when he just goes off on Mr. Trump? How are you going to handle ISIS? What's the specifics? Blah 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 blah. And he goes off. Well, I baked eggs this morning.
No, what he's going to say is over and over again, I'm going to make America great again. I'm going to make America strong again.
Exactly.
That's it.
Just like right now today, he was at a evangelical conference again or rally, talking about he's gonna go as hard as he can for Christian rights and blah 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 and blah blah blah. He was in Florida at the anti-LGBTQ rally, trying to get up funds, but then he has another rally about, I'm going to support. I'm going to be the head guy for the LGBT community. What the heck?
That's what I'm telling you. Now, look how breathless you got just laying out, a half hour's worth of Donald Trump on the TV today at the Value Voters Summit. I mean, I just did a whole hour, pretty much the whole first half hour was about this. And honest to God, you can't stop somebody who's throwing, plates of spaghetti at the wall. What are you going to do? Go pull off each and every string? You got to let him just hang himself.
I said in the beginning. I've called. I don't know if you know who Roland Martin is. I've talked to him.
Yeah, of course.
This too. Great guy. I like to listen to him. He's just honest. He's honest like you.
Yeah.
Donald Trump has lit the wick of hate on everybody's head that is still there.
I know.
And
that's what's so disgusting about him at the very bottom of all this lying and all of this, dirty tricks and making up stories and birtherism and everything else. The nastiest part about it is that he is literally dividing America.
Let me say one more thing. If he is president and Putin wants to invade other countries, then what? If he says the United States is not going to do anything about it, stand down. Army.
Well, that's what. Never mind, stand down army. That's why he's talking about disbanding NATO and saying, "I'll only defend you if you pay me."
Yeah, so what's going to happen to America when he says we are not getting involved in any of the wars?
Exactly.
Putin,
Well,
China,
look, that's the thing. That's what the big tip-off was, that he loved Putin, was when he said, NATO isn't all for one and one for all. Pay me and I'll defend you.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
Your phone can be a source for progressive power. Yes, it can. Credo Mobile is a progressive phone company. So what does that mean? It means every month they take a share of their revenue, more than $150,000, and donate it to incredible progressive organizations like Friends of the Earth, Project Vote, Social Security Works, the Brennan Center for Justice. Even better, Credo lets people vote every month to determine how they divide this pool of funding. Not only does Credo fund progressive causes, but you get to use the phone of your choice with great service. Right now, Credo has a special deal for Randi Rhodes Show listeners. Go to credo.com/Randi and get $150 off any smartphone of your choice, plus 50% off unlimited talk and text for 1 year. Just go to credo.com/Randi, 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 or call 1-888-533-8225 and tell them Randi from the Randi Rhodes Show sent you. The phone company that represents your values, credo.com/Randi.
This is the top of the hour from the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn. Instead of commercials, you've got progressive news and interviews right here at the top of the hour.
Hello, Progressive Voices TuneIn listeners. I'm Casey Hobbs.
And I'm Shane Mason, and we're the hosts of Nurse Talk Radio.
Here's what we're talking about this week.
In the words of the Old Buffalo Springfield song, For What It's Worth, there's something happening here and it's not exactly clear, or is it? It looks to be a trifecta, so let's start with the big one here. The Affordable Care Act, and insurance companies are withdrawing from the exchanges.
Yeah, I mean, that is so true. Aetna was the latest one to make the big announcement that they were going to pull out of the exchanges. In part, it was a little bit of blackmail on their part. They're angry with the Justice Department because there are huge mergers being negotiated between some of the largest insurance giants in the country. And Aetna was peeved that the Justice Department had the audacity to say that they were, hold on a minute, we're going to have to look this over to a greater degree and find out whether or not this is something that's reasonable and whether or not it violates antitrust law and so forth. Well, Aetna didn't like that. So they told them and they were very out front about it. They said that because they were being denied their opportunity to merge, that they felt like they couldn't make the kind of profits that they want to make, and therefore they weren't going to be on the exchanges.
Just is amazing to me. This is corporate America run amok.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing, and I think, what people need to know about them, and the planning of the Affordable Care Act, the insurance giants were thrilled because they were to get millions and millions of new customers, and so they have, but they wanted millions and millions and millions of the young, healthy customers to sign up for insurance. Many did sign up for insurance coverage, but many made the choice that based on the cost of the premiums, that the penalties were actually cheaper for not having insurance than paying the premiums. And some made very considered calculations of, I'd have to get sick this many times, I'd have to need the ER one time, I'd have to need this, to exceed the cost of having this penalty paid and so forth. So the insurance companies were angry. They thought they were going to make a much bigger killing on the Affordable Care Act than they have. But don't anybody be fooled. They've made record profits. Our good friend Wendell Potter, who was a whistleblower from inside the insurance industry, made it clear that Aetna and the other insurance giants are on track to make the biggest profits ever under the Affordable Care Act. But that's just not enough. They had calculated even more.
Well, and premiums are going up on top of, so they're making plenty of money, but the premiums are still going up for participants and copays are going up.
Yeah, it's true.
And so what does this mean for the Affordable Care Act? If all of them start pulling out, what happens?
Well, as you can imagine, the pressure immediately will be that the other insurance companies that are staying on the exchanges will raise their premiums to reflect not only the fact that they're going to take on more patients, but also because they can, because there will be this void of other competition on the, remember all the talk at the time was that we were going to have all this wonderful competition on the exchanges, and that was going to keep the cost of premiums down.
Right.
Well, anybody who knows anything about the insurance industry knows that's not what they're all about. So the prices immediately will go up. The other pressure that it's so hard to perceive if we look 3 or 4 years down the road at what the track is taking, it's hard to imagine that the Affordable Care Act is going to survive unless there are significant changes to make it sustainable.
Yeah, and so this year in the Democratic platform, restoring the public option was written in. So what about this?
Well, a deal was cut between Senator Sanders' campaign and Hillary Clinton's campaign to put a plan into the platform. Of course, as you know, the nurses from California Nurses Association and National Nurses United were pushing very hard for single payer to be what was mentioned in the platform. But what actually came through the platform was an agreement that included pursuing a public option, allowing those 55 and older to opt into Medicare, which would be a fabulous thing, negotiating for drug prices, and increased funding to community health centers all over the United States. Now, that has been a passion of Senator Sanders for a number of years, is to make sure that community health centers have adequate financing, so they're all fighting for money. And we all have to be aware that in our communities, as soon as this coming January, there are going to be more and more people, especially in the age group of 50 and over, who, because age rating is allowed with premiums, and remember, fewer policies are going to be available on the exchanges, we are going to see more and more of our neighbors, our colleagues, our friends be either unable to afford to cover themselves with insurance, or they will purchase the insurance and be unable to use it because they won't be able to afford the copays, the deductibles, and the out-of-pocket expenses. And we're going to have to be very vigilant about trying to help one another and trying to advocate as strongly as we possibly can to get this change before we end up sending more people into ill health or, sadly, watching more people die because they can't access basic health care.
Check out our show at nursetalksite.com and listen every Saturday and Sunday right here on Progressive Voices.
You've been listening to Top of the Hour on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn. Commercial-free interviews and exclusive progressive news and information at the top of the hour.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Believe me.
Turn up your mind.
You have people now down there searching, in Hawaii?
Absolutely, and they cannot believe what they're finding. I would like to have him show his birth certificate. And can I be honest with you? I hope he can. Because if he can't, and if he wasn't born in this country, which is a real possibility, I'm not saying it happened, I'm saying it's a real possibility, much greater than I thought 2 or 3 weeks ago, then he has pulled one of the great cons in the history of politics.
What a week. As some of you heard, the state of Hawaii released my official long-form birth certificate. Hopefully, this puts all doubts to rest. But just in case there are any lingering questions, tonight, I'm prepared to go a step further. Tonight, for the first time, I am releasing my official birth video.
Oh my God.
Oh, well. I want to make clear to the Fox News table that was a joke. That was not my real birth video. That was a children's cartoon. Call Disney if you don't believe me. They have the original long-form version. Michelle Bachmann is here, though, I understand, and she is thinking about running for president, which is weird because I hear she was born in Canada. Yes, Michelle, this is how it starts. There's a vicious rumor floating around that I think could really hurt Mitt Romney. I heard he passed universal health care when he was governor of Massachusetts. Someone should get to the bottom of that. And I know just the guy to do it. Donald Trump is here tonight. Now, I know that he's taken some flack lately. But no one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. All kidding aside, obviously we all know about your credentials and breadth of experience.
Remember when that was funny?
For example, no, seriously, just recently, in an episode of Celebrity Apprentice, at the steakhouse, the men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And there was a lot of blame to go around, but you, Mr. Trump, recognized that the real problem was a lack of leadership. And so ultimately you didn't blame Little John or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night.
Oh my God.
Well handled, sir. Well handled.
That was just brilliant.
Say what you will about.
Just brilliant, man. Just amazing. Amazing. And now birtherism is back. It's amazing. Donald Trump's been doing this for 5 years now, since 2000. That was 2011. 2011. Oh my God, it's an amazing thing. And so now we have all these rumor mills and the Alex Jones show and the vessel that is Louis Gohmert spewing out that Hillary is unwell and we should pray for her because she's a special needs person because they hit her in the head with a sledgehammer when they were breaking phones, and pray for her. And and James Woods is calling into conspiracy talk shows. I mean, this is like, the media is like, it's like if Randy Quaid and Gary Busey had a child, it would be Alex Jones. Do you know? If Ted Nugent and Louis Gohmert mated, you'd have a Sean Hannity. You know, it's just, this is crazy. This is the wildest thing I've ever seen in presidential politics. Ever. And then you have people who just throw up their hands, like U.S. News and World Report. I don't know if you read that paper, but they just throw up it's a magazine. They throw up their hands and they say, oh, a pox on both their houses. Don't you love people that do that? Like they make some sort of like what Donald Trump, his corruption and his dirty dealings and his lying and his, deportation forces and his racism and his birtherism and his, love for a Russian dictator. By the way, Russia's broke, don't you? Russia is completely and utterly broke because the United States put sanctions on Russia when Russia invaded freaking Crimea. Which Donald Trump says was okay with him because, the people there wanted to be Russian anyway. It's the sickest thing, but Russia is broke because they turned the Soviet Union into crony capitalism. And the crony is Vlad. And when you look at what Vlad does to his own people, and this rumor that, the Russian people love Vlad and he's got an 82% approval rating. Yeah, well, Kim Jong-il's got a 100% approval rating, okay? Just saying. Oh, my God. But that the people of Russia love Vlad? We were in Russia. I swear to God. We went to Russia. And these are some very miserable people. I mean, they are unhappy. They drink all day. They have, I'm not kidding, this thing about vodka is not a stereotype. They do it all day, every day. And when you ask them, be careful, but when you ask them about politics, which of course I had to, and the whole world speaks English, so you can't talk to them. We're the only ones that don't speak another language. But you can talk to them. And when you ask them about, Vlad, what do you think? They can't stand him, but they're afraid to say so because he has people killed. And all of that just to live in some broke-ass country ruled by a crony who is just the chief oligarch. And this is what Donald Trump wants to be. This is Donald Trump's dream guy. It's like if Vlad could do it, I can do it. I'll just squeeze everything out of the United States. I'll take it, I'll leave, and it'll be great. This is the plan. But it is an amazing presidential election. Rick in L.A. L.A.
How are you, Randy?
Hi, L.A.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, you bastard.
It's, what, about 3-4 segments till beer o'clock, huh?
3, not counting.
All right.
3, yeah.
Hey, I want to do a shout-out to a buddy of mine who's listening on the podcast. I don't know if he's got a podcast. It's Alfonso.
Alfonso, get a stinking podcast.
Yeah, get a stinking podcast.
Get 2 of them. Get 3 of them. Buy them for your friends. For Pete's sake, for the love of God.
Can I embarrass Alfonso?
Yeah.
He wants to date you, but I forgot to tell him he's going to have to run the Howard Gauntlet to do that.
Howard, strong like bull.
Oh, what did Howard say?
I don't know. What did you say?
Remember next time he calls.
Oh, he'll remember next time you call him.
Don't worry. Alfonso's not getting anywhere near. He's on the left coast anyway. So there you go.
That's not he's not a famous father, is he?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I know Chuck D's father. You know Chuck D? From Public Enemy.
Yeah, I think I do. Yeah,
he's one of the great. He's one of the first real rap stars. I mean,
right?
If you don't include Rapper's Delight, right? But Chuck D, his father is named Alphonse.
Okay.
And he's got a big crush on me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This friend of mine is Puerto Rican. Used to be neighbors. We.
Hola, Alphonse. ¿Qué tal, baby, bebé?
Yeah, we lived in the same neighborhood, probably like just across the street from each other, literally for like maybe, I don't know, 10, 12 years. We'd never said anything, hardly ever did.
All right, well, thanks for this.
And then, and then,
why did you call me?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure you didn't tell any of this to Howard.
No.
Right.
I got off on a tangent. That happened.
All right.
I was going to talk about the election. I mean, it actually has improved for Hillary as far as the numbers, according to the Nowcast for Nate Silver and the Polls Plus and the Polls Only. I mean, I think...
I don't know. I looked at it this morning. It's in my homework section. Anybody wants to see what we're talking about, it's right there. It's the first 3 articles I put there. Now, it depends on what you're looking at. I mean, if you're looking at the popular vote, it doesn't look good for either of them. They're both tied, and nobody's got 50% of anything. I will say Gary Johnson is pulling like anywhere from 9 to 13%, depending on what state it. Yeah, he's pulling a lot. But that said, the electoral college, the electoral map, it looked better a couple of days ago. She had 270. Now she's down to like 262. Why? Because Florida is wrestling with the decision. And this is the best thing I could say about Florida. At least they're wrestling with it. Alabama knows. Mississippi knows. North freaking Dakota, South Dakota, they know. They're voting for Trump. But at least Florida's wrestling with it. But it doesn't look great. I mean, it is a tie in a lot of these swing states, and it's frightening because this shouldn't be close.
It should be a wipeout. Yeah, I agree.
It should.
I agree with you totally.
Yeah.
And that's the only way you're going to get a major change in the House and the
right.
in the Senate. I mean, as it is in the Senate, I mean, if the Democrats do take it back, they're probably going to have Hillary win the election. Well, they won't take it back if Hillary doesn't become president because of the way states kind of,
Well, no one splits their ticket anymore. They just don't.
Yeah.
They just don't. But this is an odd election, so you don't know what's going to happen. But if Hillary wins, we get the Senate. And we get the Senate, that means we get the Supreme Court. So that's good.
Exactly. That's huge. That's
because
totally huge.
You think about what these freaks want to do, okay? Forget Roe v. Wade. We'll go visit that again for, another year and a half, okay? I mean, honestly.
Let's bring back Lochner, right?
Citizens
Strike down government regulation,
Oh, God. Citizens United, David Bossie. It turns out that Donald Trump gave David Bossie $100,000 to Citizens United in order to pay for the court case to open the floodgates to money.
Oh.
Yeah, and now...
Thanks, Donald.
Right, great, Donald. So,
schmuck.
Right. And now David Bossie is on his campaign team. So, listen, he is such an inside player, too, that, it's an amazing... But which one of them cares about, the American people? Which one of them wants to leave a legacy of creating jobs? Which one of them wants to leave a legacy of infrastructure, and say, look what we did. I mean, he wants to build a wall. She wants to repair roads and bridges.
Didn't their St. Reagan say tear down this wall? Isn't that kind of contrary to his advice there?
Oh, please. You're talking about Trump.
I know.
Whatever is real is unreal. Whatever is unreal is real. A lie is now the truth, and the truth is now a lie. Black is white, up is down. We're through the looking glass, people!
It's obvious he can't control his mind or his tongue.
I'm going to bomb the shit out of him.
Really? Really? This is a contest? War-weary Americans. Louis Gohmert, let's bomb Iran. I was against the Iraq War.
I'm going to bomb the shit out of them.
But I'll bomb Syria. I'll bomb Iran. I'll bomb everything. I don't like you, I'll bomb you. You give this man the Supreme Court, he'll be allowed to do that. He'll kill journalists. All the journalists first. Yep.
Randi Rhodes Air Force. The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
I am so excited to announce that ITM Trading is back to sponsor our new show. ITM Trading is a precious metals company that was a very loyal sponsor of mine for years and years, and our reunion couldn't have happened at a better time. 2016's been great for me and for gold. Did you know that gold outperformed the Dow this year by over 3 times? Since January, the Dow Jones is up 8% and gold is up over 26%. Some of the wealthiest and most powerful people in the country are diversifying huge sums of money into gold because they know diversification is the key. And maybe it's time for you to get diversified too. It's time to talk to my friends at ITM Trading about gold and how it can help you. Call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD. They've been in business for over 20 years. They have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. And if you'd like to know how to diversify with gold, call ITM Trading at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and ask for a free gold kit. 1-888-OWN-GOLD. 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
On the eve of the most important election of our time, bring your friends to an unprecedented event. The Sexy Liberal Tour goes coast to coast.
Give it up for yourselves, sexy liberals. God bless you.
Monday, November 7th, just one night.
We've got to protect our phony baloney job, gentlemen.
The Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour comes to your town. It's a special Get Out the Vote rally with a new original show in theaters nationwide on the eve of the election.
What would you like to see a new government bring in? More wine.
You've told your friends about it. Now show them what Sexy Liberal is all about. Stephanie Miller, John Fugelsang, and comedy duo Frangela are eager to make you laugh and get out the vote. The Sexy Liberal Show and Fathom Events make it possible for the #1 political comedy tour to come to your city with this one-of-a-kind event at select cinemas nationwide. Monday, Election Eve, November 7th. For more information and tickets, visit fathomevents.com.
There's still a world left when this is all over. I'd like to buy you a beer.
Believe me.
commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience. Visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
You know, it's interesting. I was looking at the ones I'm running against. I've contributed to most of them. Do you believe it? I've contributed to most of them. And one of them said, no, I don't think you've contributed to me. They found out I did. I contribute to I've given to Democrats. I've given to Hillary. I've given to everybody. Because that was my job. I got to give to them. Because when I want something, I get it. When I call, they kiss my ass. Okay? It's true. They kiss my ass.
Apparently that is true. Yes. True.
Believe me.
Yes, the Washington Post has the best article ever. It's in the homework section today at RandiRhodes.com. But it's called Trump's History of Corruption is Mind-Boggling. So why is Clinton supposedly the corrupt one? It's a good question. But they begin the article by talking about Pam Bondi, the attorney general here in the state of Florida, who is wrestling right now. They're wrestling with their decision, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Whereas, they're not wrestling so much in the deep South. They're going for Trump. He's a racist and they love him. And anything he says is it goes in one ear and out the other because they heard him be a birther. And that's all it took. And they were in. But Pam Bondi, the attorney general in the state of Florida, was going to investigate Trump University the same way New York State is investigating Trump University. Okay? And Pam Bondi decided that before she brought the case, she might give Donald Trump a little call. So she called him. And she asked him, she solicited him for a donation to her campaign. And he gave it. He gave her $25,000. And she suddenly dropped the case against Trump University. Now, is that a quid pro quo? Is that a quid for a quo? She wanted quid, he gave the quid, and then he wanted a quo and she gave the quo. Este por eso. This for that. Same thing. Different language. But that's just the beginning of it. I love this article. It goes like this, and it's all bullet pointed. And don't we love lists of things? I love lists of things. Lists are good. So, you have to work very, very hard to find any politician who has a worse history of corruption than Donald Trump. You'd have to work really super duper hard. Because the number of corrupt things he has done could potentially be in the hundreds and hundreds. Here's just a few that they list. Oh, I love the list. 1. Trump's casino bankruptcies, which left investors holding the bag while he skedaddled with their money. 2. Trump's habit of refusing to pay contractors who had done work for him, many of whom were struggling small businesses. Hello, buy a stinking podcast. Trump University, which includes not only the people who got scammed and the Florida investigation, but also a similar story from Texas, where the investigation into Trump University was quashed. The Trump Institute. Have you ever heard of the Trump Institute? Okay, this was a get-rich-quick scheme in which Trump allowed a couple of grifters to use his name to bilk people out of their money. Then you have the Trump Network. Ever hear of that? That was a pyramid scheme, a multi-level marketing scheme that involved customers mailing in, now this is gross, urine samples. Pee in a cup for Donald Trump. Well, the racist would do anything. Yeah, you mail in a urine sample, and then they analyze your urine, and they produce for you a specially formulated package of multivitamins. The Trump Network. The Trump Modeling Agency, Trump Model Management, which, I mean, the models have tried. They've even done Facebooks. They've even done Periscopes. They've done all kinds of videos trying to tell you their story, how they came here without work visas and they overstayed their visas. Trump hired them, put them to work as models, and then charged them for their room and board so that they never made any money and couldn't go home. Foreign models were lying to customs officials, and they were working in the United States illegally, and he kept them in squalid conditions while they earned almost nothing for the work they did. Sounds like white slavery to me. White slavery, supremacists. He will enslave the whites. Just saying. Trump's employment of foreign guest workers at his resorts, which involve claims that he can't find any Americans to work at Mar-a-Lago. He just can't. Trump's use of hundreds of undocumented workers from Poland in the 1980s who were paid a pittance for their illegal work. Some of them were literally paid in beer. When they went to complain, he said, yeah, what are you going to do about it? You're here illegally. So they never got paid, some of them. Trump's history of being charged with housing discrimination. See, we're arguing about, does the C on Hillary's email mean classified or confidential? Whereas the C on Donald Trump's building applications stood for colored. Trump's connections to mafia figures involved in New York construction, mostly the cement industry, which is also how Vlad is operating in Russia with the construction and cement people. Same thing. The time Trump paid the Federal Trade Commission $750,000 over charges that he violated antitrust laws when he was trying to take over a rival casino company and failed. And the fact that Trump is now being advised by Roger Ailes, who was forced out as Fox News chief when dozens of women came forward to charge him with sexual harassment. Ailes' behavior was positively monstrous. And just one indicator, his abusive and predatory actions toward women were so well known and so loathsome that in 1968, the morally upstanding folks in the Nixon administration refused to allow him to work there, despite his key role in getting Nixon elected. And now that's just their partial little bullet pointed list. But, you know, we could add to that list all these other creatures that are surrounding him. And, you know, you got to judge a man by the friends he keeps. And if that's not good enough for you, Nicholas Kristof wrote in the New York Times the black eyes in Donald Trump's life, trying to call attention to not just what he's done corrupt, but his demeanor and his temperament were formed and forged early on. He goes through the story of when Donald Trump in the 1950s was in second grade and he didn't like his music teacher, Charles Walker. So he hit Mr. Walker in the face and gave him a black eye. And he was 10 years old. And Mr. Walker, the music teacher, on his deathbed said even then Donald Trump was an asshole. On his deathbed, he remembered Donald Trump being an asshole. Donald Trump's newspaper route. He was squired around in the family's Lincoln to deliver the newspapers. The New York Military Academy, where his parents sent him when they didn't know what to do with him because he was incorrigible. Now, can you imagine how bad Trump has to be? Because Frank Trump, Donald's deceased brother, died of alcoholism. So can you imagine that Frank was not sent away, but Donald was? What went on in that family? But he went to the New York Military Academy, where he tried to throw a smaller student out of a window. Enough of his youth. Let's move into business. After he graduated from Wharton, he joined his dad's real estate business and I was going to say worked his way up, but he inherited everything. Okay, he didn't do any. And at 25, he was named the president of Trump Management. But when you go back and you look at the discrimination case, he's so young. He was 27 then. He was already president of Trump Management. And that's when the policy of not renting to blacks came to light, and the little C was put as code on the applications of African Americans. Okay, and then let's look at his pageant days. His very first pageant was called American Dream Calendar Girl Model Search, which led to the lawsuit from the woman who said that Donald Trump had groped her and restrained her in Ivanka's bedroom, in his daughter's bedroom. The lawsuit also alleged that Trump had directed that, quote, any black female contestants be excluded from any parties for the American Dream Calendar Girl model search. He's denied this. When he moved into Manhattan in 1980, preparing to build Trump Tower, he demolished a department store, and he used hundreds of undocumented Polish workers who were paid less than $5 an hour, but sometimes he just paid them in vodka or beer. Some weren't paid at all, and some were threatened with deportation if they complained. And then finally, when Trump Tower was built, he went into the casino business, and this was Trump's only public company. The Trump Hotels and Casino Resorts was the only publicly traded company. Now, if you had invested in Trump Hotels and Casino Resorts the way you want to invest in him being president, then just know this. Anyone who invested in Trump Hotels and Casino Resorts lost 90 cents on every dollar they invested. However, Donald Trump, who will not release his tax returns, had to release his tax returns many years ago because of the casino regulatory filing obligation. And so he released 78 and 79, and he claimed, even though Trump, he claimed no federal income tax at all. Zero income tax. Now, Melania Trump stands there at the conventions and says how loyal and he will never let you down. Except that when Donald Trump was married to his first wife, he cheated on her with Marla. And then when he was married to Marla, he cheated on Marla with Melania. And Donald Trump's first wife said that Donald Trump raped her because she recommended a doctor for a scalp reduction surgery. Scalp reduction. This is vanity gone amok, man, really. And it hurt. And he got very angry with her. He didn't think it worked, and it was very painful. And so he slapped her around and then forcibly mounted her. She's backed off of that. But then he married Marla Maples, and that in turn gave way to Melania, who says he's loyal. She's got a, well, she was raised in a communist country. She has a very, strange ideal of what loyalty is. I think it means just don't let me starve, and give me some boob jobs. Anyway, the crazy part about Donald Trump and all this money that he inherited is Nicholas Kristof and others. This is not the only place I've seen this. This genius that Donald Trump is. His fortune would have grown much quicker, and it would have been larger had he just put it in a stock index fund. That's your genius. That's your next president. That's the guy who understands how to manage the global economy, the American economy. That's the guy who understands everything about budgeting and budget process. He's got over 3,500 lawsuits against him. He has worked with some of the most criticized mob figures to build his buildings. He cheats on every woman he's ever been with. He's got 5 babies by 3 baby mamas. He's a racist. He's a birther. He's a liar. And he's a cheat. And he's stupid because if he just would have put his money in a stock index growth fund, he would have had more money than he has now. Very sad. Rhonda in Erie.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Oh.
Hi.
This is really getting really getting on my nerves. It's really getting on my nerves. It's scary.
Which part of it?
All of it. I mean, it doesn't seem like every day there's more of a pile on. It just doesn't seem to lessen in its intensity. I keep waiting on it to be better somehow, to get some good news on it. But there's no good news. I mean, with the exception of the numbers, but even the numbers are not great news because, this is Hillary Clinton, whatever else you think of her, she's the most qualified person we've ever had to be president. She's not just qualified, she's competent. You said it earlier today many times, this should not be this close.
No, it should not be this close. No, it shouldn't be this close. I mean, you have a tie in a lot of swing states today, and it's just frightening, is what it is.
Well,
here's the numbers. Here's the numbers I have. Okay.
Okay.
Florida 43-43. Ohio, Trump 41, Hillary 37. You have to win Ohio. North Carolina, she's ahead 42-38, and PA, she's ahead 44-39. But Florida and Ohio, I mean, you're talking 29 electoral votes, and you have to win Ohio in order to win the presidency, just historically speaking. So, I mean, this is just a bizarro world. Bizarro.
It really is. But I have kind of 3 points to make, and this kind of sums up how it is that I've been seeing this whole election cycle. The first is that one of the things I've been recognizing is the language that we use. So everybody who's has any sense, who's paying any attention, has been talking about the media. Oh my goodness, I don't understand why the media is not doing their job. The thing with Matt Lauer and yesterday, and the interviews, the lack of calling out Donald Trump on his lies. It's obvious lies. At the moment. Okay, so if you think about this, we keep using the word media instead of the word journalist, or instead of the word news. And I think that's the difference. We expect that journalists and news people are supposed to do that kind of job. They're supposed to find out the information. They're supposed to fact check. They're supposed to challenge. They're supposed to ask the hard questions. But what we've been getting is media.
Well, the news has been canceled for a very long time.
Oh, absolutely.
And my remedy for it has always been the same, and that is that if you're going to brand yourself news, you must meet certain journalistic standards. And I want that because we got rid of every single standard that the Columbia School of Journalism used to teach journalism, and now they teach public relations instead of journalism. I mean, there is no question that there's no news. The news has been canceled a long time. And, when we started calling, entertainment or infotainment news, that's when we lost our grip. I mean, the Fourth Estate is so important to choosing leaders. It's so important to knowing what's going on in the world. It's so important to know what's going on in your own backyard. And yet, everything has to be lists and online, and it has got to be. And you got Gary Busey and Alex Jones having a baby named James Woods, who then tells a story on the radio, and then that story goes to the Drudge Report, and then the Drudge Report is picked up by Fox News as being a legitimate news source, and you get it reported that Hillary's got earbuds because. Of course, Hillary needs to be told about these issues, right? Like, who is even smart enough to be in her ear to tell her stuff? I think Donald Trump just can't even believe she knows all this stuff, so they have to denigrate her. But of course, there's no news. Of course, there's no journalism. There's some going on, in print still, but that's about it.
That and even that's few and far between. But if you think about it, people our age know that the news was canceled long ago, but people who are significantly younger than us never really have known.
Right, they never knew Walter Cronkite. Right. They never knew how their parents felt about the most trusted man on the TV. They never learned it. They never saw it.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
With Workers Independent News in depth, I'm Joanne Powers. Unions in Oregon are campaigning for a November ballot measure, known as Measure 97, that will require corporations that have over $25 million in sales in the state to pay their fair share and help fund public education, health care, and senior services. Catherine Dreesen is press secretary for the A Better Oregon campaign, a coalition of labor unions and other progressive groups supporting the measure.
For about 2 decades now in Oregon, we've seen significant disinvestments in those services. Corporations doing business here are effectively paying the lowest corporate taxes in the country. So Measure 97 asks predominantly large and out-of-state corporations to pay a slightly higher tax on their income here. Our measure would raise enough revenue to make a meaningful difference in our schools. It would also help us provide better in-home care to seniors, provide more affordable and more accessible health care to Oregonians.
Dreesen says that as a result of the state's reluctance to tax corporations, Oregon is $2 billion short of being able to fully fund schools. Hannah Vandering is an elementary physical education teacher and president of the Oregon Education Association.
Our students have suffered for over 2 decades. We're currently the 3rd largest class sizes in this nation. We have one of the shortest school years in the nation. We've cut PE, music, career and technical art, those things that really inspire student learning. As educators, we want them to have a well-rounded education that prepares them to be successful in life. And in order to do that, everyone has to step up and pay their fair share.
Well, unions and the A Better Oregon campaign have been knocking on doors in a grassroots effort to drum up support for Measure 97. Dreesen says the opposition is spending lots of money trying to defeat it.
We've seen more money, I think, pour in from out-of-state corporations than we ever have before on the opposition side.
Educators across Oregon have accepted changes in the collective bargaining agreements to help the state provide the best possible education through cut days, through loss of benefits, through having class sizes go up and the workloads go up. So everyday Oregonians have reached into their pockets and said, we support public education. We want our students to have a quality education, while corporations have stood by and just asked for more tax breaks. And that's not right.
Measure 97 would put an extra 2.5% tax on all sales over $25 million, affecting about 1,000 corporations. Vandering of the OEA says that while the tax rate for corporations has gone down, the tax rate for everyday working-class Oregonians has gone up. Meanwhile, workers in Oregon schools have also been sacrificing.
Workers Independent News is brought to you by the American Federation of Teachers and its 1.6 million members working to reclaim the promise of public education, health care, and public services for our students, their families, and our communities. More information online at aft.org.
You've been listening to WIN, Workers Independent News. For more information, visit laborradio.org.
The Randi Rhodes Show is brought to you by our partners at ITM Trading. Call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and ask for a free gold kit. 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
Clear for takeoff. Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com.
All right, so, what did I just do? I did something very evil and unholy. So the courts, the circuit court in D.C., where the case for the pipeline in North Dakota was brought, they said that the Indian tribes cannot have their injunction, that the pipeline will continue. They can monitor the construction to make sure that none of their sacred burial sites or artifacts that are, buried there will be disturbed. But they said there's a gas pipeline that's already under the lake, and that the new pipeline is going to be built parallel to that, and it won't be deep enough to disturb anything. And so they denied the request. Now, the next state to do this is going to be Iowa. Pennsylvania's already started too. There are people that do not want this pipeline. They just don't want it. They're scared about the water, that they depend on to live. They've seen Flint. They've seen soil damaged, all over the United States. They've seen pesticides. They've seen fracking. They've seen earthquakes. They've seen it all. And so I'm watching this one case in Iowa only because I think that the attorney in that case is a really smart eminent domain guy. And this is a question of eminent domain. And here's what I mean by that. And this is very simple. I'll do it real quick. The only reason why they've been given the permission to take these lands, the companies have, is because they say they're a public utility. Well, if they're a public utility, they must serve the public where the land is being disturbed. This is a thoroughfare. This is a throughway. That's a better example. This pipeline is a throughway. Nothing will stop. Nothing will help the people whose land is being disturbed. And so I don't think they have the right to call themselves a public utility, and that's going to be an issue. The last time something like this was decided was a 5-4 Supreme Court decision. I think it's called the Cole case. I'd have to look it up. I'll if you're really interested in this, we could talk about it on Monday. You tell me you want to, Monday. I don't know if we should be here on Monday because you're getting a pacemaker. Oh, the martyr said, it's no big deal. I'll just go and I'll have surgery. You don't really. That's ridiculous. I don't know. I have to decide. But we could talk about this pipeline issue. We could talk about eminent domain. We could talk about the Cole case, which was a 5-4, very tight Supreme Court case. That's why the Supreme Court is so important, meaning that the Supreme Court ruled in the Cole case that it was basically to improve a neighborhood, a blighted neighborhood. And it was a private company that wanted to take people's property in order to, fix it up and make it, a better place. Well, the court ruled that private companies do have the right to take your property for, a settled amount. They pay you something. It might not be what you think it's worth, but they do pay you something. But then they take your property. And the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that private companies can do this, not just public utilities, but private companies can do this too. But only if there's a benefit to the neighborhood that they're trying to, pull eminent domain on. And this is not that. This is a different, completely, because nobody in Iowa is going to benefit from this pipeline. Nobody in North Dakota, in Indian country, is going to benefit. They're not going to get the gas. They're not going to get the byproducts of the fracking. They're not going to get anything out of this. It's just a throughway. And so this is a great court case. And you're going to have to, if you care about these things, then you're going to have to watch the court. Vince in Hampton, Virginia.
Hey, Randy, I wanted to say, when I listened to Trump's speech, where I think it was just before the debate, he did like this national security speech, and he was talking about, I'm going to increase the military, and I'm going to add ships and this and that. And he was talking about the amount that was going to be spent. I almost thought I heard an audible gasp or just a drop in the audience. And then he said, but this is about jobs. Because I kept wondering, where is all this money going to come from? Yeah. In translation, he's saying, I'm going to tax you to the hilt, and now I'm going to scare you out your minds with. It reminded me of the whole Bush era again, and this over-militarization, and this, what was that thing, preemptive strike mentality. And, people, it amazes me how people forget. They just
I don't think he'll go at it from so much of a tax perspective. I know. I mean, I've listened to Trump talk on CNBC where all they want to talk about is money in the economy, and he told them, and nobody reported this. Nobody picked up this story. Nobody said to you, "Oh, now we know what his economic plan will look like." He said he was going to borrow money. That's what he said. He said interest rates are so low that it would be a crime not to borrow money. So on one hand, he talks about the deficit and the debt and all this trillions of dollars and what Obama. But on the other hand, he sits on CNBC, and when they ask him how are you going to pay for all this, he says,
"How do we pay for that? And is it going to be public money? Is it private money? And as Wilford just asked, what level of debt to GDP would you actually feel comfortable?"
Normally, you would say you want to reduce your debt, and I like to reduce debt too, as much as anybody. The problem is you have a military problem, you have an infrastructure problem, a tremendous infrastructure problem, and you have other problems. And also, the asset is your rates are so low. What's going to happen when the rates eventually will go up and you can't borrow? You absolutely can't borrow because it's too expensive. It would destroy, our balance sheet, totally destroy the balance sheet. So you'd be paying so little interest right now. This is the time to borrow.
Believe me.
Crazy.
Right.
And you know what?
He's going to borrow and borrow until everything implodes or explodes, whatever you choose to think about it. He is Vladimir Putin. This is why he humps Vladimir's leg. He adores the crony capitalism. He's sold himself as a crony capitalist. He's told you they kiss my ass. He's admitted to quid pro quo. He said, I give money, I get stuff back. What does he get back? He gets cases dropped. He buys himself attorney generals. He did it in Texas. He's doing it in Florida, or did it in Florida. I mean, the guy stands there and shows you who he is. He tells you how he's going to pay for it. He's going to borrow and borrow and borrow. But his sycophants, they just know he's a birther. He's a racist. He doesn't like black people. He said he was going to deport every brown person. He's going to ban Muslims. He's our guy. We don't care what he does to the economy.
But you know what? I'm so glad that you said that he is a part of the system, because they think this is an election of those who are in the system and those who are not, and they see Trump as someone who's not a part of the system. But what he is the system. He is the reason why your politicians are corrupt, because he's the same from that same collection of people who pay your politicians to get what they want.
And what does Donald Trump want? He wants things like tax abatements. He wants tax loopholes. He wants write-offs. He wants cases dropped. He doesn't want to be investigated. He doesn't, I mean, this is what Donald Trump is. And Donald Trump is so for money in politics that he gave David Bossie's Citizens United $100,000 to finance the court case so that the floodgates would open, because Donald Trump wanted to buy one-stop shopping. He just wanted to buy, not just a senator or two, or not just an attorney general, but the whole government with his dollars. So Donald Trump,
he's not just an insider. He is the inside.
He's the virus that infected the body politic. He's the virus that makes politics corrupt. He is the cancer in the system. He's the guy who forks over the cash. He's the guy that pays to play. I mean, all this stuff he says because he's doing it. It's such a classic case of projection. It's unbelievable. They kiss my ass. I give him money, they kiss my ass. So now I guess he's tired of paying, or he can't pay anymore. I don't know. He won't release his taxes. We don't know what the hell he's got, doesn't got. We have no idea what his tax burden is or what he's trying to do. Release your taxes and we'll know, right? But it seems to me that he can't afford to play anymore. So he wants to take the whole board game and own it. That is the road to Gomorrah. That is the road to oligarchy. We're already got a toe in the oligarch's pool. He's the oligarch. You put him in charge, and it's crony capitalism all the way. And you check out Russia. Just Google Russia's economy. They are dead freaking broke. They don't even have cheese there. Do you know that? They don't have cheese. Their cheese is not cheese. It's like plastic. They don't have food. Their food is bizarre. Everything about that place is bizarre. The people hate Putin. They're just terrified to say so they just learn to shrug it off. Like the Stasi are going to be listening, and they'll turn in their neighbors, and which is what Donald Trump wants the deportation force to be like, that you turn in your neighbor and you're in good stead. You don't turn in your neighbor, and now you're under surveillance too. Paul in Woodinville, Washington.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
That Supreme Court case is called Kelo.
Kelo, that's it, Kelo.
Versus New London, Connecticut. It actually was John Paul Stevens' last opinion, and concurred with actually Ginsburg and Stephen Breyer and a couple others. It was 5-4, but yeah. Kelo versus New London, Connecticut.
Right, and that case was about can private companies claim eminent domain? And it was
they did, and what happened was that company claimed eminent domain and never secured funding to finish the project. That was the worst thing about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 2005. But, Randy, I just got to say, is this I wasn't worried until recently, until after that stupid forum, that is this really a different election cycle, or is this a media hoax? And what I mean by hoax is, that I learned at some Saturday afternoon NPR show that a hoax is actually something that is clearly impossible but seems undeniably true. Yeah. That a racist, bigot, idiot of a billionaire could become president. And it seems like, but you saw the Washington Post poll, that the comprehensive poll that they did with 74,000 plus participants over a month's time, and Hillary had secured at least 244 electoral votes. So I try not to worry, but I don't know how this could possibly. The thing with the forum the other night, this is where I started. I usually write the media off, but Matt Lauer, who doesn't know anything about this, the question about Aleppo was designed to show up Gary Johnson as incompetent. And here's why I say that.
Well,
because,
it worked.
Well, yeah, but when they went over this in the pre-forum rehearsal, Matt Lauer said, "What's Aleppo?" And they said, "That's a place in Syria." He goes, "Oh, got it. That's what he said." And the whole thing was they would have never asked that question to Trump because he wouldn't know what Aleppo is either, and they wouldn't ask her to Hillary Clinton because she damn well knows what Aleppo is, right?
No, I disagree. No. I think Donald Trump knows what Aleppo is. I think he knows what Raqqa is. I think Hillary does too. Matt, he's an entertainer. Why can't he handle politics? He's an entertainer. All right, Monday. Bye.